Welcome back, Lovestylers. I'm Misty. Today we're going to be talking about how to shift your perspective on health. Health is a big issue these days. With the current situation and every day of our lives, we should be concerned about health. A lot of misinformation over the years has gotten us all confused. So let's narrow it down, talk about some ways we can make it easier for everyday living to be healthy. Thank you for subscribing. So health, what have we learned about it over the years? Well, a lot of bad stuff, really. Confusing things. First, we have the food pyramid. I'm just going to touch on that for a second. The food pyramid has fallen down and crumbled. We're building a new pyramid or paradigm today, talking about how we should really eat. Throw away the old food pyramid. Get rid of that mindset. We know a lot more now. We know that carbs are bad for you. We know that meat is better for you than they ever talked about. We learned that vegetables can be helpful with nutrition, but not the end-all be-all. And that fruit, used sparingly, can also be very enjoyable. So, the food pyramid has changed, and so has the new paradigm. You know, a lot of us, we rely on studies. Well, what study shows that this works or that works? Studies schmuddies, I say. And the reason is this: they're flawed. Studies have been very flawed. There have been people at the bottom of these studies funding them who have an agenda. I'm not going to get into all that, but I will tell you this. With many studies, did you know they are done on men, for example, only for a lot of these studies? So that's a gender problem there. They're not using both genders. Also, the time that they actually use to make their point about trying something new with these people who volunteer for the studies are sometimes a week, 2 weeks. You guys know in the diet community, it takes longer than that to see any good results, good or bad. It's crazy. It's not enough time. So there's a time constraint there. These studies are flawed. You know, we also have a lot of these studies are done with a questionnaire where the person has to be honest about how many times a week they may drink or not. These kind of questions where no one wants to be truthful based on theories of answers. That is a terrible way to take a study. And the last thing with the studies is they don't use people in a similar lifestyle. They have people with different health situations going on. You don't know their health history. This all matters. You know, genetics may play a part in this. So studies don't convince me these days. You know, it's 2020. Truth is coming out left and right. Just look at the current times. I don't know if we can rely on what the news says is happening with numbers to sick people, deaths, and so on. It's used sometimes to put fear into people, and I really don't agree with flawed studies. So listening to studies, when you listen to your body, you'll find out all kinds of new things. For example, breakfast. Let's talk about breakfast for a minute. The most important meal of the day. I don't know if that's true. A lot of us are doing IF, intermittent fasting, where we just skip breakfast. We're getting healthy by doing this. It's just a little bit of fasting. I love it. It works great for my body. See, when I wake up, I'm not hungry for breakfast. I was never big on breakfast. I'm not a breakfast person, as they like to say. But let's talk about breakfast for a minute. You know, the balanced diet says, for all these years, a balanced breakfast is toast, which is bread, which is bad for you, carbs. We have our sugar bomb of a glass of orange juice, another non-healthy piece of the breakfast pie. We have our cereal loaded with sugar, which they just push on children. Even the healthy cereal is loaded with carbs and sugar, bunch of chemicals in there, colors, dyes, unnecessary things. I mean, they're selling us fantasy here. What else for breakfast? Oats, the little packages. Yeah, they're delicious, but they're low. You ever look at how much sugar is in one of those pouches? It's insane. Not good for you. And then we have bananas. Controversial topic. Everyone's eating a banana. I'm healthy. I used to eat tons of bananas. They are sugar bombs. They have been hybridized to be a new banana, which is loaded with sugar to get us addicted. Stay away from these foods for breakfast. I recommend eggs and bacon, eggs and sausage. You're good to go. Eat a bunch of eggs, eat a bunch of bacon, low carb it. You'll start feeling better immediately. Or skip breakfast. I say, trust yourself. If you don't want to eat breakfast, don't eat breakfast. If you want to eat breakfast, it makes you feel very energized, go ahead and do that. Trust your own body. Ask yourself, how do I feel? You know, trust yourself here. You're in charge of your life. You know what you resonate with when it comes to food, people, things you may listen to, music, what brings you up, what helps you resonate at a high frequency. We talk a lot about high frequency here on Lovestyle. What makes you feel great? Try different things. I've been trying liver. Ew, Misty, liver's so gross. Yes, it is. But when I choked down some liver that day, I feel like Superwoman. I am not kidding about this. I'm going to do a video about it. I'm in the middle of my experiments. I'm trusting my own body. Yes, it could be tastier. Yes, I've made liver pate. That helps, but it's a lot more work. I take it like a multivitamin, drink it with a bunch of water like it's supplements, and I really feel good. So I'm listening to my body with that. That's just an example. You know when you eat something you should not eat, and you feel like crap an hour later when it's digesting, making its way down to your gut, you know not to eat those foods. I feel like this is so obvious. Misty, why are you trying to tell me stuff I already know? I'm like an adult now. Because adults still do stupid things. I know I do. You know when you give kids candy, you know on Halloween or Easter time, they eat a ton of candy. An hour later, it's no different for adults. Same thing happens to us. We may put on a happy face in front of everyone, but inside we're like, I shouldn't have ate that. Trust yourself. You know how you operate. What kind of gas do you want to put in your tank? Bottom line, listen to your body. Your body's going to tell you. Your body is so intelligent. Nobody thinks this. Think about it for a minute. Your body naturally breathes. Your heart beats. You don't have to concentrate for that. It runs itself, so put in some good fuel. Your body will tell you when you are doing something wrong, when you eat something that you do not resonate with. You get gas. You may get some digestion problems. You may feel funny afterwards. Your stomach is unbalanced. These are easy things to figure out. Listen to your body. So when you listen to your body, you realize what works, what doesn't work. We're all different. Each individual human on this planet is different. And so are you. Embrace it. Find what works for you. There's all different diets out there. There's all different foods out there. Listen to yourself. And let's talk about triggers for a minute. Misty, what are triggers? It sounds like gunplay. Triggers are things that may set you off. Emotionally, you can have emotional triggers. You're around this one person. I know I talk about this a lot, but this is big. You're around that certain person that comes into your space, into your aura, comes into your 6 to 9 foot space, even though they shouldn't be right now. But when they do, something feels not right. Your body tells you. I'm telling you this is true. Pay attention. If this has not happened to you, I don't want to harp on this too much because I'm all about love. And we're all about love here at Lovestyle. But sometimes someone moves into your space, your personal space, and they trigger you somehow. They make you feel not right. That's you listening to your body. You may have to just separate, keep some space. You don't have to cut them out of your life. You may have a conversation with somebody on the phone, some in-laws or something like that, or someone from your own family, where you get triggered from the way that they say something to you. This sometimes happens with our parents a lot. I know it happens with me. You're getting triggered. You may have to keep the conversation short. Triggers can also be foods or activities that trigger you wanting to eat foods. The other day, I was having my walk outside because I'm trying to exercise regularly, and it's gorgeous out. Why not? Get outside. And I heard the ice cream man. And I heard that music, and it brought me back to my neighborhood days, roller skating around the neighborhood in the 80s. I wanted an ice cream. I almost got an ice cream from the ice cream truck because I was triggered to a beautiful memory of being young, being free, it being spring or summertime, and I just wanted to embrace that moment and go back to that joyful feeling, but that's not going to help me on my journey. So I said, oh, that was a nice memory. Let it go. I don't need the ice cream. Triggers can be something like watching television for a lot of people. Triggers or a long movie triggers wanting snacks. We were brought up to watch a movie with snacks. We're Americans. That's what we do. You may want to, knit while you're watching television. Do something with your hands. Drink some water, sip some water. I like seltzer water for this. It makes me feel like I'm having a treat. There's no sugar in there. There's no sweetener in there. Seltzer water is great for this. Try it just one night. See if you can get through it without the snacks. Last night I came home from work. I'm working a crappy shift where I come home late, and Andrew was bored at home. I come home. He's grabbing his stomach. He has that look on his face. I said, "What's wrong, sweetie pie?" He said, "I watched 2 Marvel movies in a row and I shoveled popcorn into my beak." I said, "You know better than that. That's not how you normally eat." He said, "I know. Anyway, you know it's going to make you sick. Don't do it. You know your own body more than anyone, more than your mom, more than your dad, more than your husband. Don't do it." A trigger for myself. I quit drinking about 2 years ago. Best decision I ever made, besides going low carb, which is part of the whole thing. Going to bars. I don't go to bars anymore because if I went into a bar, that would be a trigger for me. I would just naturally want to buy a drink, and then I would naturally want to drink it. So I don't go to bars anymore if I can help it. Sometimes you have to go to like a restaurant bar and it's still a similar atmosphere. And if you're strong, you sip your water, you have a good time anyway. Triggers. Try to stay away from triggers unless they're good ones. If you go outside and that triggers you to want to walk and play frisbee like we like to do, then go outside. That's a good trigger. If reading a book about how someone became a star from nothing triggers you to want to get back onto your journey towards your goal in this life to be a success, that's a good trigger. So not all triggers are bad. Shifting your perspective on health also means paying attention to stress. Let's talk about stress for a minute. Stress, a big word. The reason it's a big word is because it affects so many things in our lives having to do with health. Stress is not good for your health. Stress is not good for your health. Now, stress can be due to conversations, emotional stress. Someone at work said something to make you upset. You bring it home. You know, you may eat some cookies, you may grab that drink. When you're trying not to drink, you're trying not to eat the cookies. We got to get rid of stress, whatever it takes. This is vital to our health. Stress is the killer of good health. Stress can also be too much exercise, too much fasting, which I have just found out due to my own little troubles I'm having. I got some rashes, again, after months and months of being clear of rashes. Too much extended fasting that I was doing actually stressed out my body physically to where I was unbalanced. There was an imbalance inside me, and I had to start eating more. I know that sounds crazy. Misty, why would you eat more? You're still trying to lose weight. Because I found out I was doing more harm than good on my hormones as a woman. It's coming out about fasting that we have to be a little more careful than men. They've done a lot of fasting studies on men. This is coming back to what I said earlier. Stress on the body is bad. Too much exercise taxes the body. Do you know when you become over a certain age, about 40 to 50 years old, stressing the body out through exercise does more harm than good. These are mistakes people are making every day. They're not realizing it. They want to push, push, push. I mustn't be working hard enough. If they watch this video, they just have to dial in a couple of important things to balance out the rhythm of the body. This is a symphony going on. Everything has to work together for ultimate homeostasis. And last but not least, we have sleep. You gotta sleep. This is something I ignored for years. I worked strange shifts at work. I was a workaholic for years. I really don't think it did very good for my body metabolically. Stressing out about work is bad enough, but getting no sleep in conjunction with eating badly, exercising improperly, eating the wrong foods, letting things stress you out emotionally, all these things go together. You gotta get your sleep. 7 hours is the new paradigm of the amount of time you should be sleeping, which is good because it's hard to get 8 for a lot of us. 7 hours, if you sleep 7 hours, you feel perfect. If you got everything else in order, 7 hours is a nice balance of rest for the body. Your body needs to rest. Work with the circadian rhythm. The sun goes down, you should start winding down and going to sleep soon. The sun comes up, you should be winding up to awaken. It makes perfect sense. Get in tune with the circadian rhythm of the universe, of this earth. It's trying to tell us something. Sleep when it's dark. Awaken when it's light. It's really laid out perfectly for us. So get your sleep so you can be the healthy person you want to be. So shift your perspective on health. Start with the little, not too much at once. We believe in slow and steady here at Lovestyle for optimal results. Start thinking about these things. Thank you for listening to Black Eyed Soul. That's our perspective. Thank you for subscribing, liking and sharing, hitting the notification bell. And thank you for tuning in to Lovestyle. Peace out.